When others transmigrate, they become rich second-generation heirs. When I transmigrated, I became a debt bearer. The zoo is on the verge of closing, and the animals are starving. There are only 25 days left on the betting agreement, but I'm not panicking because I discovered that the parrot, which could barely speak clearly before, suddenly started cursing, and with remarkably cultured insults. I checked its stats. Holy crap, it has the bloodline of a divine phoenix. When I woke up, my head ached like someone had smashed it with a hammer. Before me was a wooden office desk with two items on it, a will and a betting agreement. In my hand, I was still holding a revolver, missing one bullet. Good grief, the original owner had just blown his own brains out. The moment I got a handle on the situation, a memory forcibly flooded into my mind. From birth to suicide, his entire life flashed before my eyes like a movie, hurting so much I nearly died again. Once I recovered and caught my breath, a cold mechanical voice echoed in my mind. The Divine Species Cultivation System is at your service. Your newbie gift pack will be delivered immediately. With a thud, a gift box materialized out of thin air and dropped into my arms. When I opened it, a blaze of 10,000 lights nearly blinded me. Congratulations on obtaining Contract Technique, Species Detection Technique, and a Species Awakening card. Immediately after, the office door was slammed open. An old man holding a tranquilizer gun rushed in, followed by a woman in blue work clothes. She was really beautiful, but her brains didn't seem too sharp. "Director, don't die," she shouted, then kicked me flying with one swift motion. I flew sideways and hit the wall, leaving a bump on the back of my head. I remembered Mo Xiaoro, ticket seller and security guard, pretty but with unimaginable fighting skills. The old man was Uncle Zhang, a homeless man taken in here who did all kinds of odd jobs. I finally managed to send both of them out. I began to study the situation. The zoo was left to me by my parents. They signed a gambling agreement and died in a car accident half a year later. If I couldn't turn losses into profits, the entire zoo would be razed to the ground. The animals would be taken away, and I'd be burdened with debt. Only 25 days left until the agreement expired. I was worried. A white cat silently jumped onto the desk and licked my fingers with its pink tongue. Got it. I used species detection technique on the white cat. Species, white cat. Bloodline, contains 2% white tiger bloodline. Without hesitation, I activated the binding technique to use the Species Awakening card, but it failed. The species doesn't belong to a master, so it can't be bound. Fine. Then I'll find one with an ID card. Rushing out of the office, I barged straight into the next room. A cockatiel was sneakingly turning off the TV. Its body was silver white, its head pale yellow, with two blush spots on its cheeks and a tuft of messy feathers on top of its head. It was cute, really cute, but also as sneaky as they come. I cast detection, and all its stats appeared. Species, cockatiel, bloodline, contains 0.5% divine phoenix bloodline. I chose an equal contract. A golden light shot into its head, and a golden thread connected us. Then I pulled out the Species Awakening card. The card shattered and turned into golden light that enveloped the parrot. The blush on its cheeks glowed red as if on fire. The tuft on its head turned from pale yellow to gold. Then it flopped to the ground, blowing out a smoke ring. Damn, I'm being roasted. Half an hour later, it woke up, and I named it Silver. Name, Silver. Species, cockatiel evolving. Bloodline, divine phoenix bloodline 1.2%. Skill, phoenix flame innate. Language, Silver tries spitting a phoenix flame. It raised its head and chest, opened its beak, and spat out a fireball the size of a marble. The fireball arced down to the floor, burned through it with a hiss, and from downstairs came the sound of a chandelier shattering. Silver quickly leaned over the hole and sucked, pulling the phoenix flame back like sucking back a snot. "Boss, I didn't mean to. You told me to try it. I don't want to die." It started rubbing against my pant leg, playing pitiful. "We're poor, but we shouldn't be poor to the kid. I'm still a baby. I didn't blame it." Instead, I added a restriction rule. Guard the zoo without my permission, no using skills. Then I gave a task. Go outside and attract tourists, bring in 200 people for a bonus meal. As soon as Silver heard there was a reward, it perked up. "Leave it to me. But first, let's be clear. I'll perform, but I won't sell my body." I threw this drama queen out, and it flapped its wings and flew away. But soliciting customers wasn't that easy. Once Silver flew out, it realized these two-legged beasts only wanted to catch it and sell it for money. Sticks, stones, and nets were all aimed at it, infuriating it. Until someone cursed it, feathered beast. Silver was utterly enraged. You're the beast, you lemon-headed, rat-eyed, eagle-nosed, slanted-browed, fan-eared, big-lipped, old demon-toothed, one leg shorter than the other, chicken-chested, dog-bellied, barrel-waisted, stinky egg-smelling piece of trash. If you got guts, come up here. The crowd below was stunned by the scolding. The fattest one flushed red. Go to Little Sun Zoo and catch it. I want to pluck all its feathers. Silver's eyes lit up. That's right, the core of soliciting customers is to get people into the zoo. How it's done doesn't matter. It dove down and dropped a bomb, a precise hit of poop, right in the fat man's mouth. This is Silver, and I never change my name. I'm the cockatiel from Little Sun Zoo. The fat man vomited so hard he couldn't see straight, and the group was covered in trophies on their faces and clothes. Let's go to Little Sun Zoo and demand an explanation. Ainsley continued looking for targets. Spotting a group of beautiful women coming out of the mall. Wow, so many pretty sugar mommies. Little Sun Zoo, Ainsley greets the ladies. The girls were amused and asked how it knew they were sugar mommies. Ainsley rolled its tiny eyes, its antenna hair twitching. Simple. Anyone who carries their own airport must be rich. They spend all their money to fill in the gaps, right? The leading red-haired girl was stunned for a few seconds before catching on. It says we have small chests. Sisters, call backup. We must punish this bird. At the city square, a boss was proposing marriage. Ainsley landed on a lamppost and grew more suspicious as it watched. The beauty being proposed to looked happy on the surface, but her eyes kept glancing at a man in the distance. While Mr. Shue had his back to her, she moved her hand away and licked her index finger all around. There was something fishy between those two. After that man handed over the ring and left, Ainsley flew over to sneak a peek at his phone. Holy cow, it was all high difficulty. Moves art really does imitate life. Ainsley flew back to the marriage proposal scene, circling above CEO Shue, singing a wedding blessing in ancient verse. Elegant songs and fine letters, a perfect match made, till the seas dry and rocks crumble, never to regret. CEO Shue was moved to tears, thinking it was part of the event planning, and immediately offered to pay 8 times the fee. After singing, Ainsley landed on CEO Shue's shoulder and quietly told him the truth, adding a condition: to take people to the zoo. CEO Shue was a steady man after listening. He followed Ainsley's instructions, opened the hidden system on his phone, and only his expression fully changed after seeing the photo album. Min, take Ding Bin to Haichuo Mountain, he said, then told Ainsley, I will keep my promise. Thank you. Ainsley flew back contentedly. As he neared the zoo, his jaw dropped. Cars and people were lining up on the road, flooding toward the zoo in numbers too vast to count. Oh no, a massive tourist invasion on the zoo. Help, boss. Hearing Ainsley's cry from the office, I quickly brought out a basin of water. Don't panic, drink some water first. Ainsley was overwhelmed with emotion. Boss is so kind. Ainsley will fall in love with you. After drinking the water, it recounted what had happened. Now that I knew the whole story, I looked at Silver, who had shrunk its head, expecting a scolding. But I didn't blame it at all. It was just a newly intelligent parrot, doing its utmost to complete the task. What was wrong with that? I said on my shoulder. Well done. Awesome. Silver froze. Boss, are you trying to relax me first before killing me, so the meat will be tenderer? Such a drama queen. Stop watching weird stuff. I took it to check the monitors. The zoo was built at the foot of the mountain, with only one road leading in. On the screen, a long line of cars stretched endlessly, far beyond what the eye could see. I picked up the walkie-talkie. Xiaoro, a massive number of tourists are coming up the mountain. Guard the gate, no tickets, no entry. Raise the ticket price to 100 each. Boss, are you crazy? We finally get some visitors, and you hike the price. Just do it. I had no time to explain. The zoo was so broke that the animal feed would only last 3 days. This was a matter of life and death. After hanging up the walkie-talkie, I looked at Silver. What if someone at the gate refuses to buy a ticket? I kept taunting louder. I'll curse them out until they charge in to catch me. If they want in, they have to buy a ticket. Right, but don't curse at their family. Try to resolve things peacefully. After saying that, I even laughed at myself. Peacefully resolve things was really a slap in the face. I told Silver not to use Feng Yin and not to worry if I got hit. If things went wrong, just fly away. Then I tucked the revolver in my pocket and headed straight for the gate. When I got to the gate, a crowd was confronting Mo Sharo. A fat guy tried to force his way in. Mo Sharo pointed at his nose and said, "If your left leg comes in, I'll chop your left leg. If your right leg comes in, I'll chop your right leg. Don't believe me? Try it." She was incredibly tough. When she saw me, she instantly turned gentle. "Director, they want to enter without buying tickets." I stepped forward. "If you want to enter, buy a ticket. Can't afford it? Get lost." The fat guy clenched his fist, ready to fight. I aimed the gun at him. "Try it. If you do, I'll send you to meet the Buddha." He backed down. The soft fear the hard fear the reckless, and the reckless fear the insane. Just then, a group of black-suited bodyguards rushed up and shoved the fat guy aside. They lined up to buy tickets, and enter money was no object. 400 tickets sold out instantly, tens of thousands in hand. Uncle Zhang hurried to get blank paper and a stamp to use as temporary tickets. One crisis follows another. A girl with dyed red hair stormed in with a butler and a squad of bodyguards. She was the one Silver had mocked as airport. "Where's that damn parrot? Hand it over." And Sister Han won to make a fuss. "I can buy it. Name your price." The old butler behind her stepped forward, leaning on his cane. "Young man, don't be too arrogant. It's been years since anyone dared to cross the Huachin group." I smirked. "Old man, if I try once, you'll drop dead on the spot and never make it down the mountain." A wave of gasps rippled through the crowd. The old butler's eyes flickered, as if he were looking at a bug he could crush at any moment. The standoff grew tense, the air so thick with hostility it could explode. Just then, a thunderous tiger's roar erupted from deep within the zoo, jolting everyone. Roar! Everyone present was startled. Chen Ming bore the brunt of it. This was his zoo. If a real tiger had escaped and injured someone, let alone the financial compensation he couldn't afford, all other responsibilities would fall on Chen Ming. Chen Ming wasn't afraid of taking responsibility, but he feared the entire zoo would be shut down. Yet the more tense he felt, the calmer he became. All the security cameras in the zoo were on. If a tiger really did attack someone, it must have been someone who deliberately opened the cage using tools. Moreover, if there was real danger, Inzi might not use Feng Yan, but at least she would give a warning. However, the next second, Chen Ming's brows furrowed, because from a distance, panic screams rang out. The tiger. The tiger is out. The tiger is eating someone." Chen Ming's heart sank to the bottom, but the old steward opposite him smiled. "So, young man, still want to give it a try?" As his words fell, a dozen or so people ran out in a panic, chased by a fierce, striped tiger right behind them. Strangely, as the several people ran past it, this emaciated yet still majestic striped tiger showed no desire to attack. Even though saliva dripped from its mouth into long strings, it did not attack anyone. This defied logic. At least, it defied Chen Ming's understanding of animals. Chen Ming tried to stay calm, watching the fierce tiger with slightly cloudy eyes draw closer, closer and closer, until it pressed against his leg, then slowly sat down, gasping for air, and lifted its head to let out a deafening roar. Roar! Saliva sprayed over a meter away, even splattering onto the old butler's face, who had already backed out of the ticket gate. But he dared not move a muscle, nor wipe the spit off his face. The red-haired girl beside him also had a strand of transparent saliva on her head, her face pale with fear. Finally, the raging tiger ceased its roar, panting heavily, its tiger eyes fixed on the dense crowd of people outside the ticket gate. Then it tilted its head and licked Chen Ming's fingers, a wet sensation accompanied by constant warm breaths. Chen Ming was no longer nervous at this point. He had even guessed that this might be a reinforcement sent by Inzi, although he didn't understand exactly how Inzi had managed it. But Chen Ming was very clear. The fierce tiger had come to escort him, although the tiger was gaunt and panting heavily. But if anyone attacked it and caused its death, this matter would be serious, and everyone present would be implicated, because this world has a specific protection act for legally documented animals. Any intentional harm or killing of an animal with official identification will result in extremely severe punishment. Just how severe the punishment is, one could tell from the expression of the head steward of Huachin Group, even if he had Huachin Group backing him. he wouldn't avoid a single bit of the punishment. It might even implicate the entire watching group. But similarly, if a legally identified animal actively attacks a human, will no longer receive any protection. Even if beaten to death on the spot, no responsibility would be taken. On the contrary, species without legal status, that are not living in zoos or reserves, once they enter human residential areas, will be handled by special departments. Harmful, non-native invasive species will be destroyed. Even harmless ones will be kept under observation before a decision is made. This department has extensive powers and is also very mysterious. Ordinary people simply cannot access it. Chen Ming tentatively raised his hand and touched the tiger's head, finding that it didn't resist, but instead narrowed its eyes slightly, looking as if it were enjoying it. Only then did Chen Ming look up at the old butler. "You just said you wanted to give it a try." The fierce tiger did not attack anyone unprovoked. The old butler's face was covered in sticky drool, his eyes fixed on Chen Ming's hand stroking the tiger's head. His face twitched a few times, just as he was about to say something tough. A whistle suddenly sounded from above. Truly, shallow waters breed many turtles. Big brother's everywhere. That guy with the stick, you old bastard. Don't look around. I'm talking to you. You old geezer with the white hair. Are you tired of living and ready to pass on to paradise early? Steward, it's this bird. Yeah, this bird is bullying us. Everyone looked up. Only the fat man and his crew wisely kept their mouths shut and heads down. Meanwhile, Silver, hovering in the air, suddenly came to a halt. "Oh my, who do we have here?" "So it's you little rich girls." "Sorry, but Silver doesn't like them too small. Go out together, and people might mistake you for brothers." The dozen or so girls were flushed with rage, but helpless against Silver in the air. They anxiously looked at the reinforcements they had brought. "Catch it. I want to shut its mouth." The old steward, even with a generous heart, was now getting furious too. But Chen Ming had blocked the door with a tiger, making it impossible to get inside. Even the old butler felt that this scrawny, weak tiger was likely here to pull a scam. But thinking of the extremely dire consequences, the old butler forcibly swallowed his anger. The butlers of the other families, or general managers, or relatives, all came forward at this moment. Silver was still cursing from above. "What use is having more people? Today, Master Ian will take on all of you alone. Bodyguards? Can you protect them?" Dive bombing begins, causing a wave of screams. Even those who already had a glob of spit stuck to their heads, and then had a piece of poop thrown at them. Yuhan was so angry she cried. In all her life, she had never suffered such humiliation. The enemy was right in front of them, but they couldn't catch or hit it. They could only stare helplessly. The others' expressions were equally grim. A woman, seeing the stalemate, couldn't help but step forward. "I'll offer 1 million to buy this cockatiel. I wonder if you would part with it? Part with what you love? Part with your uncle?" This rude remark was not said by Chen Ming, nor was it the silver coins hovering in the air that cursed. The voice surprisingly came from behind the crowd. The dense crowd turned around angrily. They dared not strike the tiger, but hitting a person was no problem. Even the old steward narrowed his eyes and looked behind, one hand raised to teach the newcomer a lesson. Yet the next second, everyone froze in place as if petrified, because that voice rang out again. "Joint Investigation Bureau business. Clear the way." The crowd quickly parted from afar, making way. The Joint Investigation Bureau, the Global Joint Investigation Bureau for special events. They wield immense power and an even greater reputation, yet they do not target ordinary people, nor do they handle ordinary incidents. Since this mysterious department appeared, no one has known exactly what they are responsible for. But whenever they show up, no one else has anything to do with the matter. Only 4 people arrived. The one leading was at most under 1.7 meters tall, but was extremely sturdy, his entire body like a forged iron stake. His head was a buzz cut, looking like a cube from the front, very square and straight. The man walked up to the ticket gate, looking directly at Chen Ming without shifting his gaze, then at the tiger by his leg. He grinned. "Is this thing safe?" Though nervous, Chen Ming replied calmly. "Very safe. It has a legitimate identity certificate, has never stepped foot outside the zoo, and has never actively harmed anyone." Chen Ming's reply was neither servile nor arrogant. The square-headed man wanted to say more, but was shoved aside by someone behind him. Haha, this old man is Zhang Tianran. Is that parrot flying up there yours, young man? Chen Ming slowly nodded, not understanding the other S intent. The old man adjusted his glasses. A cockatiel, it's fine for learning whistles and simple phrases. But one like this has never been seen before. After speaking, before Chen Ming could respond, Zhang Tianran turned around directly. Captain Fong, seal off the road behind. Hurry up and bring up the equipment. Keep these people under observation for now. No one is allowed to leave. I want to discuss a deal with this young man. After giving his instructions, the old man looked kindly at Chen Ming. Is it okay to temporarily close the zoo? Before Chen Ming could speak, Zhang Tianran seemed to have guessed Chen Ming's thoughts. Captain Fong, count the number of people. Compensate this young man according to the ticket price. Chen Ming let out a long sigh of relief. Although he knew clearly that the other party was after the money, he couldn't refuse. However, Zhang Tianran pointed at the tiger by Chen Ming's feet. Can you make it go back first? I'm afraid it will bite me. Chen Ming actually didn't know how to send the tiger back either. He could only stroke the tiger's head while thinking of a way. Just then, a faint cat meow suddenly sounded. Meow, it was just a normal cat call. Unremarkable. But the tiger under Chen Ming's care suddenly lifted its head and licked his fingers. Then it stood up and walked back. Chen Ming was stunned for a moment, then turned and met the equally stunned Zhang Tianran's gaze. When Zhang Tianran entered the zoo and was taken into the office, a large number of reporters who had just arrived were stuck on the road. News about the mysterious background of Little Sun Zoo spread like wildfire, and Zhang Tianran, on behalf of the mysterious Joint Investigation Bureau, stated the purpose of their visit. Inside the office on the second floor, Chen Ming and Zhang Tianran sat facing each other. Zhang Tianran, while watching the surveillance footage, directly stated the purpose of their visit. I represent the Joint Investigation Bureau. We want to purchase this cockatiel. Don't rush to refuse. No need to be too nervous. The Joint Investigation Bureau doesn't throw its weight around. Rest assured on that. After saying this, Zhang Tianran stared at the surveillance footage and frowned. Your zoo is too shabby. I heard you signed a bed agreement. Do you need my help? Chen Ming silently tapped the table with his finger. It would be a lie to say he wasn't nervous. After all, the reputation of the Joint Investigation Bureau was too intimidating and too mysterious. But now that it came down to it, he actually wasn't that nervous. Because Chen Ming believed that everything must follow rules. At least in his memory, this world had rules. Chen Ming looked at the old man who had casually grabbed a cup and poured himself some water, and calmly spoke his true thoughts. Inzi has a legal identity. I don't treat him as a pet or an animal. Instead, I treat him as a companion and a friend. He is free. Zhang Tianran paused in the middle of drinking. Then a sharp glint flashed in his eyes behind his glasses. You say he is free? Meaning, as long as he is willing, he can make choices. And you support that choice. The kind smile on Zhang Tianran's face disappeared. He put down his cup and looked seriously at Chen Ming. But Chen Ming only nodded gently. Yes, that's right. Hearing Chen Ming's answer, Zhang Tianran's tense and serious face suddenly blossomed like a flower, crinkling into a web of wrinkles. The concept of partners and friends is excellent. Freedom, we'll see about that later. As soon as he said that, Zhang Tianran pointed oddly at the surveillance screen. That tiger returned to its cage on its own. How did you train it to be so obedient? Chen Ming had no idea why it was so obedient. He could only remain silent. Fortunately, Zhang Tianran didn't press further. It seemed like he was just curious. Just then, the walkie-talkie suddenly crackled to life. Director, director. Xiao Rou calling the director. This square head wants to take over the zoo temporarily. Should I chase him out? Puff, cough, 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 square head. That's so vivid, ha ha. Zhang Tianran was instantly choked by his drink. Meanwhile, Chen Ming quickly replied, No need. Come back. Oh, well, all right then, Mo. Xiao's voice sounded a bit disappointed. The old man Zhang Tianran looked at Chen Ming with great curiosity, winking and whispering, looking quite gossipy. Has this girl always been so bold? Will you be subjected to domestic violence in the future? Chen Ming was speechless. When Mo. Xiao rushed over, Uncle Zhang also came to the office after securing the tiger cage door. At the same time, Chen Ming saw on the monitor many people with strange equipment searching everywhere in the zoo. Zhang Tianran offered no explanation. He just smiled and watched without saying a word. Until Fong now, Captain Fong, also brought his people with equipment to the office. Only then did Zhang Tianran calmly put down his teacup. He first looked around, and after receiving a cue from his subordinate, his gaze swept over the faces of Chen Ming and the other two in turn. Then he slowly spoke. Let me talk to him, whether the talk succeeds or not. This old man will protect your zoo. After saying this, Zhang Tianran stood up. Let me formally introduce myself. I am Zhang Tianran, head of the Huaqing branch of the Global Joint Investigation Bureau for Special Events. And this is Fong now, cough, cough, cough. Captain Fong. Chen Ming also stood up immediately. Little son, kindergarten director. Chen Ming, as soon as the words left his mouth, before the old man could speak, was the first to walk to the window. Silver, you're back. The sound of flapping wings came. Silver landed steadily on Chen Ming's shoulder. The tuft of hair on its head bobbed up and down. Its small eyes were very sharp. They darted around, looking into the room. Several people who arrived later quickly aimed their detectors at Silver. And Zhang Tianran also looked up at Silver, who had the tuft of hair on its head. Alu, imfina. Let alone Zhang Tianran being stunned. The whole room full of people was dumbfounded. Only Mo Xiaoro let out a snicker of laughter. Then she felt the atmosphere wasn't quite right, and covered her mouth again. Zhang Tianran, caught off guard by a parrot for the first time, pushed up his glasses to hide his embarrassment. But behind the lenses, his eyes gleamed with sharp light. Looking at Inzi again, still all smiles. I want to take you to a wonderful place. A private room with spring all year round and flowers everywhere. And a female cockatiel too. Daily meals prepared by a personal chef. What do you think? Inzi was stunned, tears of emotion uncontrollably leaking from the corners of her beak. But just a second later, she spread her wings and tapped her head. I think you're dreaming. At your age, using seduction tactics on a bird? Don't the wrinkles on your face hurt? Doesn't it hurt your wrinkly face? I'm the top dog of Little Sun Zoo. Who do you take me for? Chen Ming looked utterly defeated. He was beyond caring. Zhang Tianran, on the other hand, reacted just the opposite after being blasted. The wrinkles on his face deepened into an even bigger smile. The other staff quickly recorded everything, even filming directly. Zhang Tianran looked at Inzi, whose prideful little tuft of hair stood completely on end. His entire face suddenly turned terrifyingly gloomy. Even his voice became low and hoarse. If you don't come with me, I'll beat Chen Ming to death. Then I'll burn down the entire Little Sun Zoo. After saying this, Zhang Tianran raised his hand to stop Chen Ming from speaking. His eyes fixed firmly on Inzi. Inzi's reaction surprised everyone. Who do you think you're scaring? Don't think that just because you're bald you're truly brilliant. You might also have kidney deficiency. And Mo Xiaoro, don't just stand there dumbfounded. Quickly grab this old man as a hostage to protect the boss. The scene fell silent again. Only Mo Xiaoro looked at Chen Ming eagerly. But Chen Ming shook his head speechlessly. Then he took 2 steps back to the table and looked at Zhang Tianran, who had regained his smile. Inzi doesn't want to go with you. If you want to do anything else, just say it directly. Zhang Tianran seemed disappointed, but not discouraged. Instead, he asked a nonsensical question. Do you have any expectations for this world? Chen Ming did not answer immediately. Instead, he frowned and pondered what the old man really meant. After a moment, Chen Ming's brows gradually relaxed. A gentle smile appeared on his face. Harmony, friendship, mutual assistance. Looking out for one another, this was Chen Ming's greatest hope for the world. And as his voice fell, Zhang Tianran suddenly stood up, waved, and walked out. Very well, let's go. The certificate for Level 1 external consultant of the Joint Investigation Bureau will be delivered tomorrow. Captain Fong, leave him a phone number. From now on, this place is under the protection of the Joint Investigation Bureau. Captain Fong immediately took out paper and pen and left a phone number. Then everyone briskly left the office. This left Chen Ming and his companions utterly confused. They had no idea what these people had come for. However, when Zhang Tianran and his team left the office building, a technician approached him and began to report. Report, Director Zhang. No energy reaction was detected inside the zoo. That parrot only showed a faint reaction, not a strong one. The tiger is an ordinary creature. The strongest energy reaction came from that ticket seller. Zhang Tianran paused in his steps. He turned to his subordinate with a puzzled look. The technician quickly explained. Her physical energy response is at least twice that of Captain Fong. Just now, when she was eager to try, it instantly tripled. She really wanted to make a move at that moment. And Captain Fong definitely couldn't stop her. Zhang Tianran had always thought the danger would come from Yinzi, but he never expected the reality to be the exact opposite. The greatest threat actually came from that delicate ticket seller. He frowned. His hand had already reached into his pocket, pulling out his phone, ready to press a button at any moment. Is she human? Both the scan structure and unknown energy tests indicate she is human, and all her records show no issues at all. One can only say she is exceptionally gifted. Zhang Tianran instantly breathed a sigh of relief. Chen Ming's ideological direction is correct. Combined with the existence of Yinzi, there's now another girl with innate super strength. There must be something wrong with this zoo. It's just that we can't figure it out for now. But that's okay, as long as our thinking stays on the right track. It's worth winning them over. Who knows, there might be a pleasant surprise. Zhang Tianran's tone was somewhat heavy. All of Chen Ming's records and today's interactions show that. He is sunny, kind, yet introverted and restrained. Incidents of animal mutations have been increasing in recent years, even resulting in casualties. Tomorrow, send someone sharp to deliver his certificate. We also need to secretly keep an eye on him for a while to see how things go. Yes. As Zhang Tianran walked out of the zoo gate, he looked at the crowd of people and left Captain Fong to handle things. He raised his head to glance at the rusty gate of the zoo, turned around and left. But little did he know, the moment he stepped out of the gate, a flurry of reward notifications suddenly rang out in Chen Ming's mind. Congratulations, Master, for successfully handling the crisis. Reward: 10 portions of high-grade food. Congratulations, Master, for successfully protecting the contracted species. Reward: 2 species awakening cards. The Master cares for the animals. Bonus skill acquired: Spirit Fusion Art. Master is awesome. Voice cracks. Chen Ming shuddered in fright. He felt that this thing masquerading as a system was a bit off. And Mo Xiaoro and Uncle Zhang were still in the office. So Chen Ming didn't immediately check the rewards. Instead, he made an excuse to send them away. Xiaoro, Uncle Zhang, go keep watch at the entrance. Oh yeah, that old man of him. He said he'd pay for the tickets, including the ones for those who didn't come in. Go collect it fast. The moment she heard ticket money, Mo Xiaoro's eyes lit up green. She grabbed Uncle Zhang and rushed out, shouting as she ran, "Hurry! Don't let them get away!" In a good mood, Chen Ming smiled as he watched them leave. Actually, he had a pretty positive impression of the Joint Investigation Bureau. Even though they had so much power, they didn't use it to bully others. Sure, they scared Yinzi by threatening to kill Chen Ming. But honestly, it was no big deal. Most importantly, there was no condescending attitude looking down on the world. On the contrary, they were very amiable. Even when sprayed by Yinzi, they didn't get angry or embarrassed, nor did they try every means to extort money. They even helped the zoo out of trouble. What's more, they gave Chen Ming a protective talisman. Chen Ming felt that this mysterious department had been somewhat exaggerated in rumors. It wasn't as terrifying as the rumors said. Most importantly, they followed the rules. Not being overbearing, that was very reassuring. Chen Ming looked at the empty office. He placed Yinzi, who was on his shoulder and almost asleep, on the desk. Watching him sway unsteadily, his eyes reduced to slits. Looking so tired he was about to fall asleep. Chen Ming knew that Yinzi had been busy ever since they went out. With some concern, he reached out to stroke the head of this little one with the unruly cowlick. Feeling Chen Ming's presence, Yinzi directly leaned sideways into Chen Ming's palm. Gently nuzzled, the last slit of his eyes instantly closed. Chen Ming fondly used his thumb to fiddle with the tuft of golden cowlick on his head. At the same time, he took out the high-grade food. Chen Ming originally thought it would be a large lump, but after taking it out, he found it was only the size of a fist. It looked like a bead with a colorful surface, emitting a strange smell. But at that moment, Yinzi, who had closed his eyes and fallen asleep, suddenly woke with a start. Although his eyes weren't open, he lifted his head, wobbling back and forth as he moved toward the high-grade food. Drumstick foie gras bear paw. So fragrant, he muttered nonsense. Yinzi finally opened his eyes and clearly saw the high-grade food in front of him. Those small eyes gradually widened. Drool dripped from the corner of his mouth onto the table. Boss, what is this? Looks super delicious. So fragrant. Can I have a bite? Half a mouthful would do. Inzi, suddenly wide awake, paced around Chen Ming's hand. Even though drool pooled on the table from sheer craving, it anxiously spun in circles, but still held back without Chen Ming's permission. Chen Ming placed the premium food on the table. He poked the little tuft on Inzi's head with his index finger. It's all yours. Just don't stuff yourself sick. Boss. Before the words were fully out, Inzi clamped its mouth onto the premium food. Chen Ming thoughtfully brought over the water bowl. Eat slowly. No one's fighting you for it. Don't choke. MMPH. With its mouth stuffed full, Inzi let out a series of MMH sounds. Before a smile could even appear on Chen Ming's face. An impatient, urgent meow suddenly rang through the office. Inzi instantly spread its wings into a circle, shielding its head and the premium food. The next second, a white cat leaped onto the table, growling lowly, silently wagging its tail like an electric fan. Its mouth couldn't help but water. Its raised paw seemed about to strike at Inzi, but it held back forcefully, shaking up and down in the air for a moment. A pair of amber vertical pupils suddenly fixed on Chen Ming. Meow, the white cat leaped, dashing into Chen Ming's embrace. Its two small paws loosened and tightened like kneading milk. Its head pressed against Chen Ming, nuzzling frantically in endless sycophancy. Chen Ming couldn't resist such fawning. Laughing loudly, he took out another premium food. The white cat's paws, which were kneading, suddenly stopped, completely absorbed by the premium food, but cleverly didn't try to snatch it with its claws. Instead, it simply pressed against Chen Ming's neck, looking up fixedly. Chen Ming didn't tease it. After all, his collar was soaked with its drool. One per person, no grabbing. Go to the table and eat. Place the food on the table. The white cat, having received permission, immediately pounced on the food, clutching it with both paws and beginning to gnaw. The two little ones made indistinct mm and noises from their mouths, as if they had never eaten before. This also shows that the high-grade food has an immense appeal to them. And this is just the beginning. As the scent spread outward, the monkey mountain closest to the office building suddenly became restless. Although the chaotic calls were feeble, one could still hear urgency and longing in them. Next came the bear enclosure, which had been quiet for a long time. The only remaining grizzly bear stood on its hind legs, tilting its head back and stupidly twitching its nose. The lion's cage, the tiger's cage. One after another, they roared. Even a few red-crowned cranes and peacocks in the aviary screeched at the top of their lungs. And the sloth, which had always been slow all its life. For the first time in its life, it turned its head toward the office building at top speed. The result was that it fell directly out of the tree. At least it saved 15 minutes of climbing down. As for the golden python that had long been coiled up in its cave, now so thin its bones were visible, it also rarely slithered out of the cave, raised its head, and flicked its tongue. Unable to roar, it could only pace around in agitation, almost twisting itself into a dead knot. The little Sun Tzu, which had been silent for years like a dead place, suddenly and without warning erupted into chaos. So much so that Mo Xiaoro, who had just finished collecting money at the entrance, froze for only a second, before turning and rushing into the zoo to check the situation. Meanwhile, Captain Fong of the Joint Investigation Bureau followed her inside. But no matter how hard he pushed himself, he still couldn't catch up to that seemingly delicate ticket seller. At that moment, the veteran Captain Fong felt a shred of his indignation shatter. He had initially dismissed the technician's assessment, not believing that a little girl could defeat a battle-hardened soldier like him. Absolument impossible. But now, he believed her. When he caught up with Mo Xiaoro, who had stopped, Captain Fong looked at her side profile, which showed no signs of breathlessness or redness despite her sprint. What happened? Mo Xiaoro shook her head. She pulled out the key and unlocked the bear park gate, walking in without any hesitation. She jumped up and slapped the gray bear right on its nose as it roared skyward. Then she yanked the bear, which was standing upright, to the ground. What are you howling for? Shouting like that just wastes energy. You'll need to eat even more food. That's a waste. There's not much left in the park. Mo Xiaoro spoke with righteous indignation, causing Captain Fong beside her to twitch uncontrollably. The gray bear in front, though a bit skinny, still weighed at least 2 to 300 kilograms. But Mo Xiaoro had yanked it directly to the ground. Even after the bear fell, it actually started crying. Its tears were glistening, pitiful beyond words. If this were a person, could probably swing it and smash it against the wall. But what Mo Xiaoro said, Captain Fong really couldn't stand listening anymore. Ahem, Ms. Mo, I just transferred hundreds of thousands to you. It shouldn't be so bad that you can't even afford food, right? No, this is money the zoo director worked so hard to earn. 8 months of my salary are in there too. The thought of finally getting paid for 8 months made Mo Xiaoro's wide eyes suddenly curve into crescent moons. Her mood improved, and she bent down to pat the brown bear's head. Be good, okay? I'm going to find the director. I'll get you extra treats today. Just one extra bone, though. Captain Fong was speechless. The delicate girl who hadn't been paid in 8 months had a beaming smile, while the fierce brown bear, getting only one extra bone as a treat, was pitifully shedding tears. He couldn't figure out who the real beast was anymore. He always felt that this obscure zoo, it was utterly absurd, but at this moment, Chen Ming also discovered something incredibly absurd. The cat cage door, secured with a metal latch, had somehow melted and broken off. Chen Ming stared at the cage in the corner. He remembered clearly that he had locked the cage door to prevent the white cat from running around. After all, the white cat was just a stray. It had been picked up from a park in the northern part of Flower City, as he recalled. Animals without legal identification would be impounded, so Chen Ming had locked it up. But now the latch was gone. Only a few metal beads on the ground bore witness to its existence. Chen Ming's puzzled gaze shifted between Inzi and the white cat. These two had never gotten along since they first met. A cat and a bird, how could they ever be friends? In his memory, the white cat had tried to catch Inzi more than once, and Inzi had often launched airstrikes on the sleeping white cat. In the end, there was no choice but to put them in separate rooms, try to keep them from meeting as much as possible. But clearly, that wasn't the case now. Chen Ming watched the two little ones devouring their food frantically. His fingers tapped the table unconsciously. He felt like he was missing something. Suddenly, Chen Ming frowned. He recalled the almost inaudible meow from the tiger as it left after coming to back him up. At that time, Chen Ming had no idea how to send the tiger back. A faint meow, then the tiger licked Chen Ming's fingers and obediently returned to its cage. Thoughtfully, it even bit the iron door shut. Chen Ming's fingers, tapping the table, suddenly stopped. Finally, he realized it was the two little ones who had teamed up to release the tiger to back him up. Though this answer was extremely absurd, but Chen Ming had used species detection technique on the white cat, knowing it carried the bloodline of a white tiger, even if only 2%. But the concentration far exceeds that of Inzi, which is only 0.5. So some peculiarities are not impossible. Looking at the two little ones voraciously devouring their food before him, a smile gradually spread across Chen Ming's face. Inzi opened the cat crate, letting out the white cat, which then coaxed the tiger to come and stand guard. I didn't expect you two little ones to be so well coordinated. The mumbling and whimpering suddenly stopped. Inzi, who had been using his wings to protect the premium food, lowered his wings. The unruly cowlick on his head gradually fell and lay flat against his neck. He tilted his head as if confused, looking at Chen Ming. But that cautious demeanor completely betrayed his inner thoughts. The white cat was even more exaggerated. After forcefully swallowing a mouthful of golden food, she instantly rolled her eyes and fell straight back. Her limbs went stiff, revealing her soft pink paw pads. It made Chen Ming so angry that he laughed out loud. What is the meaning of this? Playing dead? Good acting. He's eaten less than a fifth of it. He hasn't even eaten as much as Inzi. Chen Ming, who was just teasing Xiao Bai, suddenly noticed something was wrong. The white cat wasn't faking it. Its trembling body was like an epileptic fit. Moreover, a black mark suddenly appeared on the tip of its pure white tail. Chen Ming scooped it into his arms. The white cat had lost consciousness. Black markings like cracks spread from the tail tip. From 1 to 2, the slender dark markings were irregular, like a brush dipped in ink sweeping across rice paper, leaving behind something like bleeding fuzz wherever it passed. Although there were only 2, yet against the white fur, they appeared exceptionally dark and deep, dark and gloomy. Just as Chen Ming frowned and prepared to take it to the surveillance room, Inzi, who had already finished the high-grade food, hopped to the table like a free-range chicken. "Boss, don't worry, he's just overeaten. He'll recover after resting a bit. He is different from me." Inzi scratched his ears and cheeks, unable to express himself. But Chen Ming understood what he meant. Inzi had awakened his talent and skills. He was even in a state of evolution. But although the white cat possessed the white tiger bloodline, it had not awakened yet. Feeling the white cat in his arms slowly stopped trembling, and its breathing returned to normal, Chen Ming used his probe skill to take a look. He was surprised to find that the white tiger bloodline had increased by 0.2. But at the same time, Chen Ming felt a bit dizzy from using the probe skill multiple times. Chen Ming placed the white cat back on the soft cushion in the cat cage. Then he turned to look at Inzi, who was cowering. "I'm not blaming you. So what are you afraid of?" After finishing the high-grade food and shedding all his fatigue, Inzi heard this, and the drooping strand of hair on his head suddenly perked up. Even his neck, which had been retracted a bit, stretched out. His crouching body gradually straightened up. He returned to his energetic state. "Huh, so the boss isn't angry after all. I thought the boss would scold me for keeping it a secret. After all, on TV, the big brothers always smile on the surface, but curse inwardly, moody and unpredictable. They just love to stab their underlings." Chen Ming raised his hand to cover his face, then sat back down and angrily rubbed the parrot's head. He had no idea what strange things were packed into Inzi's little head. After a small punishment, Chen Ming fiddled with the stray hair on Inzi's head. "Go to the entrance. I discovered earlier that the girl named Yi Yuhan has an abnormal mass in her brain. Go warn her and, while you're at it, resolve her resentment. After all, what we did was not very honorable." Inzi tilted his head and looked at Chen Ming with his small eyes. "Boss, what's an abnormal mass?" Though he often watched movies and web dramas, this term truly hit a blind spot in Inzi's knowledge. Chen Ming slowly sat up straight, tapping his fingers on the desk. "Abnormal occupation means the patient cannot know. The condition needs to be explained by the doctor to the family. It should be a tumor, very small at the initial stage. Without symptoms, it's hard to detect in routine checks. Let her go for an MRI." Inzi thought of herself. Experience, she already had her words ready. She immediately flew out of the window and headed straight for the garden gate. At the entrance of a zoo, a crowd was stuck, unable to advance or retreat. Even several media outlets were blocked on the road. Inzi listened to the sounds coming from all around. She let out a loud howl at the top of her lungs. Although no one knew what she was saying, the boiling park gradually calmed down. Her language talent had only just revealed the tip of the iceberg. When Inzi arrived at the garden gate and landed on the fence, her gaze locked onto the red-haired girl, Yi Yuhan, like a searchlight. "Hey, you little rich, red-haired fairy sister." Yi Yuhan looked up suddenly, gritting his teeth and glaring at Inzi. "Damn bird, I will. Don't get too eager. One might think you've been single so long you're desperate enough to go after a bird." "Ahem, getting off track. I could tell you were in trouble earlier. That's why I deliberately lured you here to save your life." Yi Yuhan's face tightened with anger. The ladies around her also glared furiously at Inzi. The old butler was equally livid, his face turning ashen. But he could only swallow his anger. After all, the Federal Investigation Bureau agents were right there. Yet Inzi calmly lifted a paw, but couldn't manage the gesture of counting on his claws. The scene grew a bit awkward. Still, that didn't stop Inzi from pressing on. "You, Yuhan the fairy. In your past life, you shared a bond with me. Today, I will help you break free from your ailment. Simply put, there's something wrong with your brain, and you need immediate treatment. There's something wrong with your brain. Your whole family has something wrong with their brains. That damned parrot, it only knows how to bully me." Woo! It arrived in a grand manner. Yi Yuhan, repeatedly angered and powerless, burst into tears. The old butler had even decided in his heart to mobilize special forces if necessary to kill this parrot. But at that moment, Inzi slowly shook his head. "Abnormal left brain lesion, early stage space occupying mass. Treatment can still be done in time. You simply don't understand Inzi's efforts in this life. Saving you today, our past fate ends here." After saying this, Inzi looked up at the sky and shed a single tear. The old butler, whose face had been livid, suddenly changed expression upon hearing this. The word space occupying mass. An ordinary person might not understand, but he knew very well. Regardless of truth or falsehood, the heiress of Huaqing Group cannot afford such a joke. The old man quickly forced a smile and pushed aside Yi Yuhan and the others, who looked confused. May I ask, Brother Xianfeng, Brother Inzi, is what you said true? True gold is refined in blazing fire. My heart is truer than gold. His words were firm and powerful. His words were resolute. After speaking, disappointment showed in Inzi's eyes. Determination, melancholy. Then he looked up at the sky, as if not wanting others to see his vulnerable side. This left the old steward shocked and uncertain. He didn't understand why he could sense melancholy, loneliness, and determination from Parrot. In the end, he could only cup his hands in a return salute. I'll take her for a checkup as soon as possible. If it's truly as you say, Huaqing Group owes you a great favor. Past ties are over. No need to mention it. Inzi turned around, leaving a desolate silhouette. He leaped up and flew back into the garden, leaving the group exchanging bewildered glances, completely clueless about what had happened. Only the old steward anxiously pulled out his phone and made a call. Seeing the old steward somewhat flustered, Yi Yuhan, dazed with tears still on her face, tugged at his sleeve. Grandpa Steward, what's going on? But the old steward didn't answer, because the call had gone through. Master, something's wrong. I need to take Miss for an MRI as soon as possible. It's not something I can explain in a few words. It's a bit mysterious. I need to explain in person. There's an abnormal mass in the left brain. We'll only know the results after the exam. Hearing the old butler's grave words, the group of wealthy young ladies fell silent instantly. Could Johann really be sick? Do we wrongly blame that annoying parrot? Past life destiny repaid in this life. So romantic. Yeah. And that line, red sun refines pure gold. My heart is truer than gold. It was said with such force, full of a masculine edge. Yi Yuhan had stopped crying. She was utterly confused now, dazed, with only those few lines looping in her mind. Something wrong with her brain, an abnormal mass. Past life and present life, the former fate has ended. When she saw the old butler put away his phone with a serious face, Yi Yuhan couldn't help grabbing his arm. Butler Grandpa, just say something. The old butler fondly raised his hand to wipe away the tears on her face, but didn't explain anything. He only comforted her, saying, "Don't be afraid. A VIP passage has already been arranged. Just go for a checkup in a bit, and it'll be fine." What exactly was the abnormal occupation? That brain disease comment wasn't directed at me. It wasn't directed at you, Captain Fong. Captain Fong, I have an urgent matter that cannot be delayed. The old butler anxiously jumped up and waved his hand. When Captain Fong and Mo Xiaoro arrived at the garden gate, he urgently leaned in and repeated what Inzi had said. Then he pleaded, "Our Huaqing Group has not done anything to harm a zoo. We followed the rules, bought tickets, and didn't cause any trouble. And it was that parrot." Brother Inzi said it himself. You see, Captain Fong was listening in a daze. The talk of past and present lives along with those sonorous ancient verses was too bizarre. But these people have already been tallied. There's no need to keep an eye on them. Plus, Captain Fong also really wanted to know what this farce was all about, or some kind of special ability, so they did not stop him. They let him through directly, while Captain Fong stepped aside to report the incident to Zhang Tianran. This immediately piqued the interest of Zhang Tianran, who was about to return. He immediately changed course to personally examine the inspection results. The dark crowd came quickly and dispersed even faster. Within minutes, it was completely gone, leaving a ground full of cigarette butts outside the garden gate. The sudden silence made Mo Xiaoro and Uncle Zhang somewhat unaccustomed to it. But just as they picked up brooms to clean outside the gate, several news vans suddenly rushed up, stopped, and opened their doors. Journalists in high heels, holding microphones like long guns and short cannons, headed straight for the two. The microphones, over a foot long, almost poked into Mo Xiaoro's delicate face. "Excuse me, are you an employee here? What exactly happened here? Why did tens of thousands of people attack this place? What exactly attracted the mysterious?" Cough, cough, cough. Mo Xiaoro, who fears nothing in heaven or on earth, was stunned by the scene before her. She involuntarily stepped back 2 paces and stood inside the ticket gate, staring at a dozen microphones of varying lengths, and several cameras all aimed at her. Mo Xiaoro's face instantly flushed red. She was too nervous to speak. Meanwhile, outside the park, the introductions were still crackling on. This is the scene of the incident, Little Sun Zoo. It's run down, on the verge of closing down, and in poor condition, yet it hides a huge secret. Now, follow our camera to find out the truth. The reporter and photographer casually prepared to step past the ticket gate. But Mo Xiaoro, who had been startled and ready to flee, suddenly had a glint of eerie light in her timid eyes. Faced with the sudden interview and cameras, Mo Xiaoro was indeed terrified. She who fears nothing in heaven or on earth is only afraid of facing the camera. But the ticket gate was her final bottom line and persistence, and even more so, her duty. This concerns the entire zoo's revenue. It's also the food supply for all people and animals. Although she was terrified, her legs trembling, because she had no idea how many people were watching her through the cameras. She couldn't let her principles slip. No one was going to take advantage of the zoo. Even that so-called Joint Investigation Bureau would have to follow the rules if they came. These people in front of her actually wanted a free ride. Money gives courage to heroes. Thinking about money, Mo Xiaoro, standing in her own zoo, steadied her nerves. The courage that had been pushed away by fear reclaimed the high ground of her IQ. She raised her hand to block the crowd about to pass through the ticket gate. Freeze! No one move. Buy a ticket, no ticket, no entry. The numerous media members introducing the Little Sun Zoo were all stunned. Wherever they went, they had unimpeded access, which boss wasn't begging them to come. No matter where they went, they were fawned over, praised, and slipped red envelopes. And now, at this shabby zoo in front of them, how dare they charge admission? The woman holding a foot-long microphone frowned and was about to speak, when a photographer behind her suddenly poked her. He whispered, "Don't mess with her. Don't be fooled by this girl's delicate appearance." She sent Master Kong, one of the Flower City 3 young masters, along with his bodyguards, to the hospital. And the zoo director has a mysterious background. I heard even the Joint Investigation Bureau has to buy tickets to get in. Ahem ahem. The lead reporter from Flower City TV lost her composure. She had originally been stern-faced, intending to teach Mo Xiaoro, who was wearing blue work clothes, a lesson, so that she would grasp the seriousness of the situation. But after a few coughs, her expression changed instantly. Her face beamed with a bright smile. Buy tickets. We must buy tickets. Supporting Flower City's industries is everyone's duty. The problem is that all the tickets are sold out now. They were sold out before Squarehead even got here. Everyone knew who she meant by Squarehead, but the issue was that no one dared to address Captain Fong that way. Mo Xiaoro's image in everyone's mind was elevated once again. Even before entering the zoo, she had made a major gain. To say that this girl had no connection with the cold and ruthless Captain Fong. Who would believe that? Without any connection, how dare she call him that? The grass on his grave would have grown over a meter tall, and might even be splashed with some farm manure. It is said that during one arrest, just because someone called him Squarehead, Captain Fong punched his head flying over 10 meters away. Several media outlets restrained their arrogance and aggression from when they arrived, and very politely bought tickets directly, but refused to take the tickets, even comforting themselves. Isn't this the same treatment as the Joint Investigation Bureau? With that thought, they instantly felt more upscale. Meanwhile, Chen Ming, who had already received Uncle Zhang's notice, at this moment had braced himself and rushed over. As a typical homebody, he had imagined standing under the spotlight countless times. But when actually facing the camera, he could only barely remain calm. Hello, everyone. I am Chen Ming, the director of Little Sun Zoo. Director Chen, hello. We'd like to interview you about today's mass attack on the zoo. Cameras and microphones were thrust at Chen Ming. Video cameras surrounded him from every angle. Chen Ming's heart skipped a beat. Thump thump, it raced several times. Fortunately, he had already prepared himself on the way over after hearing the news. This is all a misunderstanding. As everyone knows, animals are very sensitive. They can sense things that humans can't perceive. For example, changes in celestial phenomena or movements in the Earth's crust. That's exactly what happened with Eansy today. Chen Ming paused. Then he handed the floor over to Inzi. The direction was set. Inzi's linguistic talent couldn't go to waste. The tuft of hair on Inzi's head instantly perked up. Ahem, cameraman. Where are you looking? Hold the microphone higher. Sure enough, some things are born in one's nature. Chen Ming felt that Inzi's social butterfly potential was unstoppable, and the group of media all obediently raised their microphones higher. The camera focused on Inzi, perched on Chen Ming's shoulder. After all, in the events circulating online, this parrot was clearly no ordinary bird. Inzi was already prepared to bear a bad reputation. Sunshine Petting Zoo welcomes all visitors with open arms. Tickets are only $100. Yes, you heard that right, not $999, not $666. Just $100 for a ticket. Tigers, lions, red pandas. Peanuts and melon seeds, ahem, ahem, ahem. Chen Ming was already dumbfounded, and the reporters holding microphones and the cameramen shouldering their gear were all stunned. No one had ever dared to blatantly advertise during an official interview. But the main character before them didn't seem to be human either. Without giving the crowd a chance to react, Inzi cut straight to the point. With great emotion, he began to recount a story. However, Chen Ming's gaze shifted to the large group of strangers approaching along the solitary path outside the zoo gate. As he listened to Inzi spin a tale, his gaze followed Mo Xiaoro as she stepped through the ticket gate and went out to greet them. Originally, Chen Ming had no intention of receiving any more visitors. Now that he had money, his first thought was to have a good meal and rest. He might as well use the 2 awakening cards. And more importantly, he needed to nourish the animals who had been tightening their belts and going hungry for so long. However, surrounded by the media and serving as a stage prop, Chen Ming couldn't move an inch. But looking at the dense crowd outside the park gate, they didn't seem to have any malicious intent. Nor was it that Inzi had offended someone and they had come to settle scores. Instead, the tall man at the front was looking this way politely. He didn't know what he was saying to Mo Xiaoro. Seeing this, Chen Ming roughly guessed who the visitors were. So he relaxed and continued serving as a prop. Inzi was unexpectedly talkative. He even managed to charm several female reporters, making them very happy. A preposterous story about a former heavenly general and 13 fairy maidens was gradually coming to an end. It didn't matter whether it was true or false. What mattered was that a bird was telling the story in front of the cameras. This one gimmick alone was enough to instantly grab a lot of attention. The buzz was even more explosive, and under Chen Ming's guidance, Silver kept dropping some secrets from time to time, like how the square head captain paid for things, or the verbal sparring with Zhang Tianran. Whether it could be reported didn't matter. Giving these media folks enough face was the most important thing. After all, it didn't cost a single cent. Finally, Silver cleared his throat. Let's get this straight. Folks, you got to help us promote the Little Sun Zoo. Look over there. The lion is crying from hunger. And that sloth, it's so hungry it can't even crawl on the ground. The cameraman followed where Silver's wing pointed and captured everything. The scene they saw was truly miserable. Overgrown weeds, untended greenery, cages with chipped paint and rust, a lion whose ribs were clearly visible, and a sloth lying motionless on the ground. Adding Inzi's vivid and heartfelt tale of woe actually brought the renowned journalist to tears. That's talent, something you can't learn no matter how hard you try. Chen Ming was completely numb by now. When the interview finally ended, the journalist from Huaqing TV shook his fist, vowing to advertise for the zoo. The others also expressed their support, including the TV station and radio. The live streaming platform's anchor, Chen Ming, escorted them to the ticket gate. When he noticed a group of people not far away, the journalist, who had already tucked away the microphone and was holding it in hand, rushed out again as if injected with adrenaline. President Shui, I heard today is your engagement day. Did something unexpected happen? President Shui, why did you come to this dilapidated zoo on your engagement day? Could you share the secret behind this? President Shui remained expressionless. I'm sorry. Today I came as a private individual to visit a friend. Yes, it's Brother Inzi. I won't accept interviews. With that, he waved for his subordinates to block the media and led his people toward the zoo entrance. Shui Daopeng brought people to fulfill the agreement. Buy a ticket. No one gets in without a ticket. A group of media people suddenly burst out laughing. No matter who it is, no matter their status. You must buy a ticket. Mo Xiaoro is stubbornly cute, but in front of everyone's eyes. Shui Dapeng, who owns several mines and was infamous for his fierce reputation, took a box handed by his subordinate and placed it at the ticket gate. A small token, just consider it as a ticket fee. In the distance, the cameraman immediately lifted the camera and zoomed in, but he couldn't see what was inside the box at all. All he could see was that Mo Xiaoro pressed the lid down the moment it opened, even pressing so hard that she left a dent on the box's surface. Chen Ming saw what was inside the suitcase. A large amount of cash and jewelry gift boxes. Seeing Mo Xiaoro's reluctant yet indecisive gaze, Chen Ming was actually tempted too. After all, it was real gold and silver. Chen Ming didn't hypocritically pretend to refuse, nor did he directly agree to accept it. Instead, he feigned ignorance, looking at Shui Dapeng with a puzzled expression. This was exactly what Shui Dapeng wanted to see. Just pay the entrance fee, and that's all. Shui Dapeng waved his hand grandly. This is for Brother Silver. How you split it is up to you. Can we go in now? Good brothers, tonight we can have chicken legs. Haha, but why are you here so early? Silver flapped its wings and landed on Shui Dapeng's shoulder. Shui Dapeng glanced at Mo Xiaoro and Uncle Zhang, who were genuinely unaware, their faces full of shock, surprise, and blankness. In his heart, he was very satisfied with Silver's discretion. Of course, I have to keep my promise. Other matters can wait. Brother, you're generous. Ha! After the group lined up and entered the zoo, Chen Ming still had Mo Xiaoro, who was holding the box tightly, lock the gate. Then he personally accompanied Shui Dapeng, who had only brought a few bodyguards, on a tour of the entire zoo. At the same time, he finally understood why Shui Dapeng had given such a generous gift. Let's put it this way. Brother Silver saved my life. Some people were plotting behind my back. They almost succeeded. I won't go into details. Your zoo is too shabby. As he spoke, Shui Dapeng looked at Chen Ming. Could you part with Brother Silver and let him come with me? Before Chen Ming could answer, Silver jumped up and gave a slap with his wing, hitting Shui Dapeng right in the face. Oh great, I treat you like a brother. And you actually want to take me over? Ha ha, you caught me. Shui Dapeng laughed heartily, but his eyes were fixed on Chen Ming. Chen Ming was also smiling, just a lot gentler. Just now, about 2 hours ago, old man Zhang Tianran from the Joint Investigation Bureau had pretty much the same idea as you. Got shot down by Yinzi. Shui Dapeng was stunned for a moment, then smiled wryly and shook his head. Old Zhang is someone I can't afford to provoke. Got it. Let us just be friends then. I'll have someone fix up the surrounding area for free later. You give me an annual pass, a lifetime pass. Friends come into play. Always welcome. Chen Ming didn't turn down friendship, especially when it's someone with money and decent character. At least Shui Dapeng's behavior seemed worth befriending to Chen Ming. The two shook hands. Both felt the other was a good match temperament-wise. But Yinzi curled her lips. He's just an old official. Not like he's ascended to immortality. Look at how easily impressed you are. Chen Ming and Shui Dapeng exchanged a glance and burst out laughing together. They took a quick tour around. Shui Dapeng didn't stay long. It wasn't until then that Mo Xiaoro, her face flushed red, appeared before Chen Ming carrying a box. Boss, we're rich. Haha, payday. Shopping. Extra meals. Chen Ming laughed too. The first crisis had finally passed safely, and we've gained quite a bit. After the three of them and the bird returned to the office, Chen Ming first glanced at the white cat still curled up in a ball, fast asleep. Only then did he sit down at ease in his chair. Across from him, Mo Xiaoro and Uncle Zhang had already taken their seats. Mo Xiaoro spoke up first. We've collected several 100,000 from ticket sales, and there's still several 100,000 in this box. Together, it's almost 1 million. Plus these accessories. Wow, Mo Xiaoro's eyes sparkled. Uncle Zhang beside her couldn't hide his smile. At that moment, Chen Ming thought, since the species probing skill can be used on people, why not check out the two in front of him? Nama, Montak Xiao. Species, human. Age, 22 years old, bloodline. Barbarian 12%, skills. Reinforced body, talent. Deranged, name Zhang Zhan. Species, human. Age, 58 years old, bloodline. None, skills, reconnaissance. Shooting, fighting talent. Keen vision. Chen Ming never expected. These two in front of him are not normal people at all. Mo Xiaoro's deranged talent. Truly an eyesore. And her bloodline concentration is extremely high. No wonder her strength is ridiculously huge. Chen Ming hesitated whether to give her an awakening card. But then he suddenly thought that if she got excited after awakening and pounced on him again, he would probably lose his life. Chen Ming was so scared that he broke out in a cold sweat. He quickly dismissed the idea and reminded himself that he must never use an awakening card on a species he cannot control. This is the first principle. Just like Mo Xiaoro, it's not even a question of whether she can be controlled. She falls into the category of being hard to control. When she gets excited, she can't even control herself. Truly ridiculous wiping off non-existent cold sweat. Chen Ming looked at the honest Uncle Zhang. What kind of setup is this? This is a full-blown war machine. But I wonder why she ended up hiding her identity and wandering like this. Chen Ming had considered whether this might be a plant from some hidden force. But recalling Uncle Zhang's behavior all along, Chen Ming abandoned that notion. Everyone has their own secrets, or scars they don't want to reopen. As long as there's no ill intent, it's best not to pry. Looking at the old man and the girl before him, both beaming with joy, Chen Ming tapped the table. Uncle Zhang, contact the supplier to send meat and fresh vegetables over. The whole zoo gets extra meals tonight. Also, handle the finances while you're at it. You have the keys, right? Uncle Zhang wiped his moist eyes, nodded repeatedly, and pulled out the keys. Before, there wasn't much money. I could manage it, but now with so much. You'll still manage it now. We're family. Always will be. Once the zoo turns a profit, I'll allocate some shares. As long as you don't leave, you'll always get dividends. With a yelp and a thud, Chen Mingsheng was tackled again, looking resigned. Though the fragrance was strong and the touch soft, Chen Ming never expected Mo Xiaoro to dive over the table at him. As Uncle Zhang frantically pulled up Mo Xiaoro, who knew she'd messed up, Chen Ming got up, holding his head with a dark expression. Have him deliver the stuff before dark. I'm going for a walk. With that, he walked out of the office, followed by Yinzi, who was trembling with suppressed laughter. Behind him came Uncle Zhang's scolding voice. But Chen Ming wasn't really angry, even a bit relieved. He was glad he hadn't used the awakening card on Mo Xiaoro. Otherwise, the consequences would have been disastrous. Leaving the office building, Chen Ming headed straight for the species he had chosen earlier. It wasn't a ferocious beast, but a sloth that could take a whole day just to go to the bathroom. This creature had a gentle temperament, with no obvious aggression. And although the detection skill revealed no magical bloodline, its skill was already unlocked. It just hadn't been activated yet. Chen Ming strongly suspected that the ability was born out of desperation, because this slow-moving, sluggish creature actually had a cleanliness obsession. It had to climb down from the tree and run a long way just to relieve itself. Chen Ming felt tired just watching it. Fortunately, it had that cleanliness obsession, or else it would have been like koalas, also tree-dwelling, feeding their feces to their young. Chen Ming approached the sloth that was climbing up the tree. Although he didn't know how long it had been climbing, he still grabbed it by the scruff of its neck and lifted it down. Name, unnamed. Species, sloth age. 2.8 years, bloodline. None, skill, lightning ability. Inactive talent. None yet. This is a baby, not yet an adult. And Chen Ming felt that the talent should be laziness. Watching the sloth that, after being carried down, didn't struggle, and obediently lay on the ground. Chen Ming took out the high-grade food that the white cat hadn't finished. The sloth suddenly raised its head, about 5 millimeters. Its eyes stared at the food in Chen Ming's hand, but its head was moving upward at an extremely slow speed, measured in millimeters. Chen Ming could see its eagerness, but even though it was right in front of it, for the sloth to touch the food in Chen Ming's hand, it would take at least 5 minutes. Just watching was enough to drive one crazy. Chen Ming put away the high-grade food. After the contract, he took out the species awakening card and slapped it onto the sloth. The sloth instantly froze. Then it slowly laid down on the ground. It didn't undergo a bloodline transformation like Yinzi did, nor did actual lightning appear. It was as if it had fallen asleep. 10 minutes later, the sloth opened its pitch-black eyes. Still moving slowly, it lifted its head to look at Chen Ming. By then, the awakening card had already been used up. It took much less time than Yinzi. The skills had also been activated. Chen Ming didn't immediately test its skills. Instead, he named it salted fish. Yes, salted fish. A salted fish born for laziness. Chen Ming felt his naming skills were still pretty good. It was the same equal contract, because Chen Ming didn't think such a lazy creature would cause trouble. Then he started setting restrictions. First rule: it must not use its abilities to harm other species without reason. Second rule: it must protect all the animals in the zoo. Assistance and help. After completion, the thread connecting the two disappeared. At this moment, Chen Ming said reassuringly, "Let me see your lightning power." The salted fish was completely still staring blankly at Chen Ming. After the contract was completed, its gaze became affectionate, adoration, and confusion. Chen Ming finally knew where the problem lay. This salted fish couldn't understand human speech. Fortunately, Chen Ming had brought Silver along. Having already discovered the problem, Chen Ming gave an order. Silver translated simultaneously. The salted fish, having understood, disappeared without warning in front of Chen Ming. Then from afar came a smack sound. Chen Ming turned to look and found that the salted fish had slapped onto a tree more than 20 meters away. It was slowly sliding down the trunk like a puddle of liquid. Obviously, the salted fish, having failed its first takeoff, was knocked out. Chen Ming's temple veins were throbbing. Silver let out a weird cackle, laughing so hard he fell off Chen Ming's shoulder. Chen Ming wondered if this guy was here just to be funny, but remembering that Silver's phoenix flame had burned through 2 floors, and even through the soil, the scene before him didn't seem so hard to accept. When a sprawled-out sloth slowly woke up, turning its head at an agonizingly slow pace to look at Chen Ming with a pitiful expression, Chen Ming pulled out the premium food. Here, Chen Ming didn't even finish his sentence. The next second, the sloth was gone. Then Chen Ming felt a lightness in his hand. The sloth, having snatched the premium food in a flash, was already back on the tree trunk. Not to mention Chen Ming was stunned. Even the cackling Silver was dumbfounded. Chen Ming stood up and helplessly rubbed his forehead. Indeed, food was the ultimate motivator. Watching the sloth, over a meter off the ground, clinging to the tree trunk and munching away, Chen Ming walked over a few steps. The salted fish didn't eat as neatly as Yinzi and the white cat. A few tiny scraps fell off. Chen Ming and Yinzi, who were observing the salted fish closely, didn't notice the crumbs that fell into the grass. A dung beetle grabbed them and started nibbling. The name dung beetle might not be well known, but it's also called a scarab, or an iron-armored night wanderer, or a tumblebug. After watching for a while and finding nothing wrong, he still had one awakening card left. Chen Ming planned to use it after getting legal identification for the white cat. Then Chen Ming went to the tiger enclosure. Today, it was thanks to the skinny tiger stepping in to back him up. Otherwise, things might not have gone so smoothly. He opened the cage door. The tiger, whose majestic king character on its forehead had shrunk from thinness, lay low on the ground, ears pressed back to show submission. Chen Ming didn't feed it right away. Instead, he activated his detection skill. He discovered this tiger had no bloodline skills. It was just an ordinary Siberian tiger. Only then did he take out the high-quality food. The moment the food was taken out, the tiger suddenly lifted its head. Drool poured out in a steady stream. But it didn't attack. Only its tail kept swishing as its eyes locked onto the food in Chen Ming's hand. Chen Ming broke off about a fifth of it, telling it that eating too much would make it burst. After Yinzi translated, Chen Ming looked at the puddle already on the ground. He quickly bent down and held out the small piece of food in his palm. A soft, warm tongue swept over it, leaving not even a crumb behind. After swallowing, the tiger affectionately rubbed against Chen Ming's pant leg, then slowly closed its eyes and fell asleep. It was simply too weak. The harsh living conditions and long-term hunger and malnutrition had stripped it of its regal demeanor. Fortunately, Chen Ming brought hope. By the time Chen Ming returned to the office building, it was already dark. The meat and vegetables had already been delivered. Uncle Zhang and the other person were working hard to prepare them. When the cooked food was loaded into the transport vehicle, Chen Ming, under the pretext of helping, crushed a portion of high-grade feed and mixed it in. Today, not only would all the animals get an extra meal, but it would also be supplemented. Yinzi had already gone ahead to notify them. The entire zoo erupted in excitement for a moment. All the animals waited quietly by the doors with remarkable discipline. This sight amazed Uncle Zhang and Mo Xiaoro, who went to feed them. After finishing, night had fallen. The three of them sat around in the office, holding a simple celebration. Uncle Zhang even broke his rules, tears streaming down his face, and brought out a bottle of liquor. So much so that when Mo Xiaoro wanted to try some, faced joint opposition from Chen Ming and the other person. Even without alcohol, they couldn't be restrained. If they drank, they'd tear the zoo apart. At the dinner table, Mo Xiaoro ate without any manners, chattering nonstop with food in her mouth. Yeah, turn the tables. I was actually prepared to treat the unpaid wages as my dowry. Such a pity, but now it's even better. Ha ha, compared to Mo Xiaoro, who made no effort to hide her joy. Uncle Zhang appeared unusually silent, but the occasional motion of raising his hand to wipe the corner of his eyes could not hide his bittersweetness and excitement. From beginning to end, Uncle Zhang only said one sentence. If old Chen and his wife's spirits are watching from heaven, they would also be proud of you. All these years I've been useless. Uncle Zhang has actually done his best, even for Chen Ming and the entire zoo. He can be described as working tirelessly without complaint. At least in Chen Ming's memory, this weathered old man was always bustling around. Juggling multiple jobs, Chen Ming doesn't drink alcohol. He raised his glass of soft drink. Cheers to the rebirth of Little Sun Zoo. Cheers. Here's to payday. Buy new clothes, enjoy good food and drink. Ha. The three of them clinked glasses. 1 glass of baijiu and 2 glasses of soft drinks. Laughing heartily, Mo Xiaoro laughed until she cried. Her face still smiled brightly and innocently, but tears kept streaming down uncontrollably. The upward, curving corners of her mouth gradually flattened. They curved down, stretched open, and then voila. It was so hard before, not only having to clean up everywhere, but no tourists came, and I worried that you, Chen Ming, might be under so much pressure you'd break down. Whoa, when Mo Xiaoro cried like that. Uncle Zhang, who had been struggling to hold back, also had red-rimmed eyes. The cheerful, relaxed atmosphere was shattered by the sobs. Chen Ming didn't stop her, nor did he console her. The pent-up feelings had to be released. Otherwise, people would get sick from bottling it all in. But Chen Ming did not cry. It wasn't because he had only been at the zoo for 1 day and didn't have deep feelings. He had experienced all the joys and sorrows in those memories. All the pressure was on him. It was just that Chen Ming's nature was like this. Not arrogant in victory, not fearful in defeat. Calm when facing adversity, humble when things go smoothly. He was that kind of person. It was innate. Chen Ming put down his cup. He stood up, reached across the table. Under Mo Xiaoro's stunned gaze, he touched her delicate cheek. He used his thumb to wipe away the tears streaming down her cheek. Xiaoro, don't cry. A new life should be joyful. You should smile. You look prettier when you smile. Now you've made your face all blotchy from crying. Mo Xiaoro swallowed hard. She had imagined this scene countless times, but none of them were as real as Chen Ming here and now. A flush of warmth reddened her neck, spreading up toward the top of her head. That delicate, fair-skinned face instantly flushed red. Mo Xiaoro's already not so bright mind felt as if a nuclear bomb had been dropped into it. Boom, all reason was gone. Crack, clatter, the chair shattered. The door was slammed open, and Mo Xiaoro rushed out of the office. Uncle Zhang wiped the tears from the corners of his eyes, shook his head with a smile, and let out a sigh. You too. Meanwhile, Inzi, who was watching the show, raised a paw to scratch his head, murmuring to himself, what a guy. Really, what a guy. The boss is truly the boss. He hides it too deep, bottomlessly deep. Chen Ming calmly sat back down, picked up his chopsticks, and reached for some food. She had to let it out eventually, and she couldn't just cry all night either. Ha, Uncle Zhang seemed to have aged a few years younger. His eyes were shining with light. Getting old, I don't understand you young people. Anyway, everything will be fine. After saying that, he got up and left, and Mo Xiaoro ran off and didn't come back. Chen Ming finished eating and cleaned up the table. His eyes could barely stay open. He thought that the suddenly popular zoo might attract some people to investigate. He also thought that the people behind the gambling agreement would make a move. But this was Chen Ming's first day since his transmigration. Pressure, tension, excitement. After the excitement came extreme fatigue. He really couldn't take it anymore. So he went to the inner room of the office, collapsed onto the bed, and fell asleep without even taking off his clothes. The entire zoo fell into silence. Only the occasional chirping of birds and insects could be heard. Late at night, the runaway Imo Xiaoro curled up alone in the dormitory. After washing up and changing into pajamas, she reached out to the mirror and gently touched her left cheek. She lightly bit her lip with her pearly teeth. With hazy eyes, she unconsciously put her thumb in her mouth and sucked on it. After a moment, she came to her senses. Imo Xiaoro, cheeks flushed, raised her hand to pat her face. Damn it, I always thought he was a dullard. A blockhead, and suddenly he's so good at this. Why did I run away? I should have just pounced on him. No, that's too unladylike. Oh no, he's such a flirt, making my heart race. Imo Xiaoro instantly went into preparation. Silence mode, tightened face, furrowed brows, glaring eyes, clenched fists. When she realized it was Inzi, she opened the window screen and grabbed him inside. Do you want to be silenced? If you dare say a word, I'll twist your head off. Inzi remained completely unfazed. The golden tuft on his head perked up defiantly twice. Without me, you think you can win over the boss? How dare you threaten me? Inzi won't help you anymore. Humph. With a tight little face, Imo Xiaoro slumped sideways onto the table in frustration. Am I not good looking? I don't know how to act cute or coax people. I just foolishly work hard. So that's why he doesn't like me. Young, pretty, with curves in all the right places, how could anyone not like Sister Xiaoro? But you often can't control yourself and end up hurting people. Let me tell you a secret. The boss is already dead asleep. Looking at Imo Xiaoro, who was clutching the weapon at her chest with a dazed, unconfident look. Inzi rolled her eyes speechlessly. Force your way in, cook the rice. Then eat the cooked rice. You dummy. Imo Xiaoro's eyes lit up. Then she covered her face with both hands. I don't dare. I have no experience either. I am scared. Inzi's little eyes darted around, just as she was about to impart her world-class wisdom. A low horse, almost tearing cat's meow, suddenly rang out. Meow, a low, breathy growl. Inzi, who was about to speak, suddenly froze. Sister Xiaoro, something bad happened. Someone broke into the zoo, over near the empty mud flat in the southwest direction. Just as she was indulging in the Ba Wang Shu fan she ate, Imo Xiaoro in her fantasy was stunned. The sudden news made her lose her train of thought. But within a second, Imo Xiaoro grabbed a rubber baton and a flashlight, opened the door, and ran out. On the southwest side of the zoo was originally the hippo area, but it was too expensive to maintain, and no one tended to it, so it was abandoned. At this moment, two figures sneaked in. They had no idea that a bug had already crawled up their pant legs and was striking its elytra, producing a faint clicking sound. On the water tower at the highest point of the zoo, the white cat was looking down at two uninvited guests from above. At the same time, it let out a low growl to the outside. Both of them had their faces covered. Bent at the waist, they turned on flashlights in the overgrown grass. Don't you think this job is kind of weird? Paid a high price to hire people to catch a bird in this nearly bankrupt zoo. If you can't catch it, kill it. Is the client sick in the head? Shut up. I heard that bird is pretty fierce, swearing like a sailor. Didn't you see the ads on TV? Probably pissed someone off. The two pushed through the weeds, checking the map. This should be the abandoned hippo enclosure. Northeast of here is the office building. Bro, it's just a crappy zoo. Counting that old geezer, there are only 3 people. Why don't we just go through the front gate? It's closer. You don't understand. We have to avoid the cameras and the dorm area. I heard that woman, even though she looks really pretty, is actually a tigress, brutal when she strikes. We two might not be able to. You're the tigress. Bang! A rubber baton spun and smacked Big Brother right on the forehead. Big Brother was in the middle of speaking. His eyes rolled back, and he fell straight back stiffly. A lump the size of an egg swelled up on his head. Little Brother was startled. He quickly stood up and shone his flashlight around, searching for the target. A girl with a crooked ponytail, wearing a pajama set with a rogue bunny pattern, appeared in his field of vision. Seeing a beautiful girl, especially one in pajamas, Little Brother instinctively froze for a moment. But then he saw this beautiful girl charging at him with an icy expression. Holy crap, holy crap, holy crap. Listen to me. Imo Xiaoro, whose fantasy had been interrupted, struck out with a vengeance. An uppercut sent Little Brother flying into the air like a shrimp, his feet leaving the ground. Then an elbow strike hammered into the back of his neck. Little Brother blissfully passed out. At that moment, little Sun Tzu was dead silent. The white cat crouched at the highest point, suddenly turning to look toward the direction of the garden gate. Several cars were driving up the single road. Meanwhile, beside Chen Ming, who was in the office, his phone screen kept flashing. The screen showed a contact name, Captain Fong. Everything happening had nothing to do with Chen Ming. He was sleeping especially soundly at the moment. Chen Ming wasn't just sleeping soundly. He was also snoring and occasionally smacking his lips. Though the phone by his bed screen was flashing, it was completely silent because of Do Not Disturb mode. This left Captain Fong, who was about to arrive at the zoo, utterly speechless. Normal people know, everyone who had his number would treat it with utmost seriousness. No matter what time, even in the early hours if he called, it would be picked up within 3 rings. Because the Joint Investigation Bureau didn't just call anyone casually. Once a call came through, there were only 2 scenarios. You're in trouble, or you're not in trouble, but they need your cooperation for something. Either way, everyone would handle it with caution. After all, having even the slightest connection with the immensely powerful Joint Investigation Bureau might just save your life someday. So anyone who gets Captain Fong's number sets a special notification for it. And for internal calls, there's an extra rule. If there's an urgent mission, they have to leave immediately. This situation where the call goes through, but no one answers, is the first time Captain Fong has encountered it. It's only a little past 11. He's out cold, said Zhang Tianran, eyes closed and looking perfectly at ease while resting. Maybe put on Do Not Disturb or is doing something else. After all, that little girl is really gorgeous. We're almost there, aren't we? If not, we can just climb over the wall. Having thrown out that teasing remark, he effectively put an end to that topic. At this moment, Zhang Tianran's mind was full of thoughts about Silver's special ability. That's right, the MRI scan was already done, along with many other tests. A comprehensive, 3-dimensional check from head to toe, examined from inside out. Yi Yuhan has been diagnosed with the earliest stage of a brain tumor. Not even the early stage yet. The lesion is smaller than a soybean. It hasn't truly threatened her life. There are no symptoms at all. Dizziness, nausea, intermittent blindness. No headaches whatsoever. And since it's the initial stage, it can be completely treated with a minimally invasive surgery opening the cartilage inside the left nasal cavity. The specific nature of the lesion can only be determined by a pathological biopsy after surgery. The doctor couldn't help but be curious. Who on earth could have detected the abnormal growth without any equipment? The Yi family of Huaqing Group was even more startled. They never imagined that what they originally planned to confront about would instead end up saving their own daughter. And as for the mysterious and unbelievable, past lives and present existences now felt somewhat real. Zhang Tianran was also startled, but not by the words past lives and present existences. Those 4 words were definitely nonsense from that parrot. The relevant lines have been found by subordinates in more than 1 copy long ago. Zhang Tianran focused on whether Yinzi truly had the ability to diagnose illnesses in advance. Mere language imitation ability was at best a minor form of evolution. Yes, every word Yinzi said had been cross-checked by the technicians. All of them were internet slang and movie quotes. The assessment given was that it was just imitation ability at a glance. This ability was not highly valued, but if it was an ability to detect illnesses, then Yinzi's classification would be elevated countless times. The car stopped in front of the locked zoo gate. Zhang Tianran opened his eyes at the right moment. Up ahead, the Yi family from Huaqing had already gotten out of the car, not knowing how to enter. They had originally planned to come tomorrow with heavy gifts to express gratitude. But upon hearing that Zhang Tianran was also going, they followed along. After getting out of the car, Zhang Tianran looked at the locked gate and couldn't help but chuckle. They really don't take us seriously, do they? Captain Fong, climb in and wake that kid up. Captain Fong quickly scrambled to the top of the fence gate. Just as he was about to jump down, a sharp shout stopped him. Square head, trying to sneak in without paying? No entry without a ticket. Zhang Tianran raised his hand to rub his face, utterly speechless. But Captain Fong, about to jump, stood frozen, staring at Mo Xiaoro in her dirty cartoon pajamas. Director Zhang, that girl seems to be dragging 2 bodies. They look real, not mannequins. Should we be on alert? Everyone was stunned. Even the Huaqing Group people started backing away. But Zhang Tianran pressed close to the gate, his old face wedged between the bars. Girl, it's me, old Zhang. Zhang Tianran. I was here during the day. What are you dragging? Two little thieves knocked out. Everyone let out a collective sigh of relief. When Mo Xiaoro got closer, Zhang Tianran finally spotted a big bump on one of their foreheads and the occasional heave of their chest. This means the person is still alive. We're looking for Chen Ming and Yinzi. His phone kept ringing unanswered. The kindergarten director should be asleep. Phone on silent. Mo Xiaoro unlocked the door as she spoke. There were blades of grass on her head. Her face was dirty. The leg of her pants was torn. At that moment, she put on a stern face and stretched out her hand. Buy a ticket. No entry without a ticket. Even if you're looking for the director, you still have to buy a ticket. She yawned as she spoke. The Yi family members all turned to look at Zhang Tianran. The scene before them was hard to imagine. Someone actually dared to charge admission at the Joint Investigation Bureau. But Zhang Tianran was staring at the two people lying by Mo Xiaoro's feet. Team leader Fong, wake them up and interrogate them. Re-interrogate. Mo Xiaoro thought they were petty thieves. But Zhang Tianran didn't think so. The existence of Yinzi had already been reported. No matter what their intentions were, they had to be taken seriously. Team leader Fong, who had already jumped down, directly grabbed the two men and headed back to the car. But Mo Xiaoro grabbed him firmly, squeezing his wrist until it hurt. We haven't gotten the principal's approval yet. The Yi family on the side was already dumbfounded. Does the Joint Investigation Bureau need your principal's permission to arrest someone? No one has the right to question the Bureau's arrests, you know. Whoever questions it gets arrested. Whoever pleads gets arrested. Whoever snoops gets arrested. That's how tough it is. And domineering. But Zhang Tianran's reaction stunned everyone again. Fine, then bring those two along to find Chen Ming. You lot behind, stop gawking. What about the entrance fee? Yi quickly rushed over with a suitcase. The main man in front, the old butler behind. I am Yi Ming Yang of Huaqing Group, here to thank your kindergarten for saving my daughter Yinzi's life. Tonight was too rushed, so I prepared only a modest gift. A greater thanks will come later.